Who's the book for? The book is, I cover so many things in it, but the book is primarily written for high school, college to postgraduate students that are trying to navigate their way and make something from nothing, pretty much, and that are upwardly mobile. Someone that's trying to figure out, how do I go from A to B, and how do I handle those tough times? That's who it's really written for. It's written from my perspective. It's written from my experience in America. And as a black male growing up in the South, I went through a lot of racial discrimination. And I talk a lot about that. And I talk about it not to bring up a negative, but I talk about it to share the mentality that, having gone through something like that, the mentality that it gave me. And there's a lot of really key lessons that I learned from those times and experiencing things that happened because of racism in the history of this country. And those stories, the book is shaped in 4 kind of subcategories. The chapters are categorized. So the beginning chapters are, I call them the fundamentals. These are things that every person, every human needs to know that's trying to accomplish something. They need to have these fundamentals down. And then from there, I take the reader to my basketball career. Basketball is my first love. I learned a lot of lessons playing team sports, running up against walls, in my pursuits to better myself in basketball or to become a better basketball player. So you go through the fundamentals. Then from there, I start talking about basketball. And then from there, the next set is education. And I talk about how my journey through undergrad, trying to get into medical school, and then later going to business school. I talk about all of the education and the importance of education. Education is huge for me. It has allowed me to progress the way that I have, and I'm a huge proponent of it. And so I talk about some of those educational struggles that happen, whether it be maybe failing a class or not getting accepted into medical school the first year around. How do you deal with things like that? So I talk about those things. And then the last chapters are life. And from there, I go into some of the circumstances that life, that I found myself in during my life. I talk about my divorce. I talk about a situation where my life was flashing in front of me. I talk about the reason I started to share my message, the reason I started to speak, the reason I started to blog, the reason I started my company. So life just in general. So you got the fundamentals. I talk about basketball. I talk about education. And then I close it up by sharing some stories about life just in general.